Hello, my wonderful first graders. This is Miss Baker, and I am so happy to be working with you today for art. I hope you're enjoying distance learning as much as I am. I have so much fun making these videos, and I'm super excited to talk to you guys about cylinders. Now you might be thinking, Miss Baker, cylinders aren't that exciting. Why on earth would you be excited about them? And let me tell you, I'm not the only one. Right now, you're looking at a picture of a famous artist named Giorgio Morandi, who spent a lifetime painting, you guessed it, cylinders. Now, he was a still life painter that worked from basically the mid-1930s well into the 60s, and he became world-renowned for his depictions in oil paint of things around his kitchen. So for today's assignment, we're going to be exploring things around our kitchen, namely cylinders. I'll teach you how to draw them and how to place them in a still life, just like Morandi. You won't need much for this project. You'll need a piece of paper or a cardboard box, and you'll also need a pencil or pen. For my demonstration, I'll be using a pen. Now I know it's been a while since we've talked about cylinders. You probably remember the term, and you might even remember the shape from your math class, but we actually use them quite a bit in art. And here are some examples from around my own kitchen of various cylinders I could just grab without even thinking. So I guarantee if you look around, you'll be able to find some cylinders. Now for my demonstration, I've chosen to use a few vases from my windowsill just because I enjoy their form, and they're all cylinders. As you can see, there's a circle on top and a circle on bottom. Let's take a look at another one. This is a little squat cylinder. He's so cute, isn't he? But also you can see that circle on the top and the circle on the bottom. Now they are different sizes, which is what gives them their interesting shapes. This is a big guy. This is called a carafe. And as you can see, the circle on the bottom is much, much bigger than the circle on the top. And there are all sorts of fancy shapes in between. So I'm going to show you how to make that happen with a pencil. Here I've drawn a circle. That is not how we want to start our cylinder. We want to use an oval. So here's one for the top, and I'm going to do one in the bottom as well. And then I will draw what's called a line of symmetry. It connects the top and the bottom. Simple as that. You can see the same thing on one side as the other. And that's a quick way to do a cylinder. That was kind of boring, so let's try a more elaborate bottle. I'm going to start with a smaller oval, like the lip of our vase. I'm going to draw my line of symmetry first. Now I'm going to draw another oval. Right? This is the base of my vase. And now I'm going to connect those. Everything I do on one side, I do on the other. It helps to work in small pieces. So you can see with just a few small lines, I was able to get a fairly realistic vase. Now you want to pay special attention to this curve, because if you want to draw any details on your vase or your cylinder, you want to follow that same shape. You can see I have 1, 2, 3 of those lines. I'm going to pretend this is a little label and color it in. And I'm not worried about that line of symmetry. It's okay that I'm drawing right over it. All right, are we ready to go? Let's draw our cylinders. Now, before we jump right in, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our materials we'll be using today. I've decided to use a cardboard box, just in case any of you don't have nice paper around the house. A cardboard box is a really nice thing to use. It's got this handy little line here. I'm just going to cut that right open. And you can see when I unfold it, I've got quite a bit of area that I can draw on that's actually pretty nice. It's a nice natural tone, and artists usually spend pretty big bucks to get paper that is that color. So it's nice to have it just in your recycling bin, or if you finish a box of cereal, just cut it open and make yourself a drawing surface. I also like that it gives you a perfect square. Look at that. Isn't that a great square? So this is what I'm going to be using for my still life. This is the still life that I've arranged for this project. It's just 3 vases of various sizes, and I'm just gonna jump right in. The first thing you want to do before you even start is think about what your vases or your cylinders are sitting on. I have 3 vases, and they were all sitting on a table. We're gonna sketch out our shapes, and we're gonna draw light until it's right. So I'm very lightly going to draw that shape of my table. Now I know I'm gonna end up drawing right over that line, and that's okay. It's light enough that it won't matter. I like to start with whatever is in the front or the foreground. So in my case, that was that short little orange vase. So I'm gonna draw the lip right there, right? My line of symmetry, and then my base. It's a short little vase, so I wanna make sure that there's not too much distance between those. And now I'm going to draw another little ellipse or another little oval in there to help guide my shape. You can see it already kind of looks like a bottle. And then I'm just gonna connect those ovals. And it's a really, really simple way to get a fairly realistic shape. You can see it's not perfect, but I'm drawing light. Next, I'm gonna do my super tall skinny vase. So I need to make sure my top oval is way up high. Now this one's gonna be tricky, but I'm going to draw my line of symmetry, and it's a long one. So you can see it's kind of crooked, it wobbles around a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm gonna draw my base. It's okay that it overlaps my short little vase because I'm going to fix that later. I'm drawing light. Now I'm gonna draw a few other ovals in here to help guide the neck of that vase because it's so long. I don't want it to end up being too wobbly when I start connecting them. So as you can see, I'm working in small bits to connect those different ovals. And it's still pretty wobbly, but I will correct that as we go. So I've already got my second vase in there. Now for my third one, I'm a little worried that I didn't leave myself enough room, but we're just gonna go with it. He is about midway between these two in height, and he's super duper round. So I have my first oval. I'm gonna draw my line of symmetry there. Again, not perfect. Now my base, even though I know I'm gonna run out of room, I'm gonna draw it where it's supposed to go anyhow. That way, you know, if I don't get the whole vase in there, it's okay. I'm not planning on putting this in a gallery or anything, so I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm more focused on getting that shape correct than I am of getting the whole thing in there. So you can see it didn't go all the way. I didn't get the whole vase in there, but I'm gonna keep working anyhow. Now I'm gonna start slowly correcting some of these lines. I drew them light enough that it's sketchy and light enough that I can just start pressing down a little harder and refining my shapes a little bit. So I can see that this needs to be darkened up a little bit. I'll drop a little shadow in there. I'm gonna do the same thing with my other one. And now I'm going to start adding in some details because I have my basic shapes done. So when you're adding your details, you can start drawing a little bit darker, but you're gonna need to think about what you're doing because once you start going in dark, it's going to be harder to undo anything. So I have to be kind of confident in the lines that I'm making, and once they're there, particularly since I'm using a pen. So extra credit to anybody who uses a pen for this project. So I'm gonna color right over that line of symmetry. It's okay that I can still see it because it's a transparent bottle, and once I start adding some more details, you won't even notice it. I'm gonna move on to my short little vase that was in the front. I'm gonna darken that lip a little bit, and I'm just gonna make those lines a little stronger just by going over them one more time with my pen. Now this little vase had some details on it. This had little bumps on it. So I'm gonna draw those bumps in. They're just little circles. If I were spending more time on this, I would look at how many there were and where to place them. But for our purposes today, I'm just putting some polka dots on there. And you can see it's already looking a little more realistic than it did before. All right? Again, I'm just working right over those sketchy lines that I drew at first and just adding some detail there. Now I'm gonna go into my big guy, which I didn't like too much, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this one, but I will try to refine some of those lines, even though I messed them up, and we'll see what we end up with. All right, I found my lip and I darkened that up, and now I'm gonna try to even out these shapes a little bit, make them a little more symmetrical, same on one side as they are on the other. I'm going to add a little bit of tone here, just by a little scribble scrabble there to show that it's solid. And just keep refining it. Doesn't have to be perfect. This one's particularly transparent, so I drew that base in the middle. There we go. Now I'm going to focus back in on that first thing we drew, which was the table. So I'm going to add a little bit of tone there, or a little bit of color. Just with my pen, I'm just going to color that right in. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can see how fast I'm working. I'm just laying something down on my paper. And you can already tell that it's a table. What do you think? Did your cylinders turn out like Morandi's? They're harder than they look. But with a few simple tricks, you'll be a pro in no time. I'd like you to use Flipgrid today to show off your work, and thank you for watching my video.